Bart, could you see NFL players striking to get those types of deals?
Not at all. I've seen this movie before. In 2011, we were locked out, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
For 3 years, we talked about the lockout is coming. We withheld our royalty checks. We withheld our union dues, and guys were broke in a month calling D. Smith for handouts to try and pay their bills. It's hard to get 53 people on each team. You talk about basketball or baseball, you're talking about 10 to 15 players. You're talking about 53 guys, and everybody in that locker room is not the same. It's easy for Richard Sherman to say that because he has $40 million.
Thanks.
So now you have not even millionaires trying to compete with billionaires. And let me tell you what the owners did that was smart. They make sure in the new TV deal that they get paid regardless of whether it's a lockout or not. Exactly. So now how are you going to wait them out? Because now they may even save money because now they don't have to pay you. So they're going to get their TV money and they don't have to issue out salaries. So how can you really compete with that? How can you go out and win that type of battle? You can't. And it's unfortunate. Football players who are upset, they should have grew 2 more inches.
Well, listen, I think the premise is correct. I think that, I think Richard Sherman is right in what he said as far as the players need to strike. But the problem is, like you said, Bart, the NBA has only like 12 to 15 players, on the team. Whereas the NFL, you're talking about 1,700, 1,800 players in a league. It's not about the top-end guys. The top-end guys got their money. They're getting paid. It's the third-string linebacker who's running down on a special team who's, they're not bringing in the type of bread that Richard Sherman is bringing in.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to be able to keep those guys, all those guys together to be able to, to create a dent as far as the owners are concerned? Because, like you said, the owners getting TV money.
Right.
So you're dealing with not only the business acumen of the owners, but you're also dealing with the fact that they got TV revenue coming into their pockets. How are all the players going to be able to deal with that? That's why I think it's just not going to happen.
Also, basketball and baseball have other leagues they can go to. You can go play overseas and still get your money. We can't go nowhere else to get this money but the NFL.
I've said this before. The NFL, the players will never strike. You know why? Who wants to say, you know what, take my wages away? I'm going to make sure that I put all my money to the side and I'm going to go fight this fight. I want to know, if you are a player right now in the league and you want to strike, who is your leadership? Who is that guy that you fall behind and said, you know what, he's going to fight for me to make sure I make the most money in this league? Who is that guy? Because I think the best player in the NFL is who? Tom Brady. And he repeatedly every year does what? He takes less. He takes less money every single, or a team-friendly deal for New England so that they can sign more players. So if this is the guy who holds the most weight, that when he talks, we all listen. When Tom Brady says something, we're like, what'd he say? What'd he say? And if that guy is not willing to stand up and say, I'm going to fight for the players, how are we supposed to fall in line when their best player is taking less? It all sounds good from Richard. It sounds good, right? It sounds good. Hey, we're going to strike and we're going to do, yeah, it sounds good, but you already got paid. I'm in my second year. I just got out of college 2 years ago. I still got bills. I got mama calling me. I got daddy calling me. I got car payments, house payments. That sounds good for you to say let's strike, but I ain't got no money.
Right.
I ain't got nothing.
All very.
So it sounds good, Dominique, but
important
until that happens,
and right, I think it's important.
That's how it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that during the last one, Brady did put his name on the antitrust lawsuit, so he was one of Brady, Breeze, and Manning were kind of in front. But I think what we actually have now is,
I mean, he stuck the toe in.
What we
He didn't
actually
jump
have
in,
now is a crisis for unions across the country, and it's impacting. There's no countervailing force for unions against major organizations, and it's true across all sports leagues. While we all want to bang on the NFL, revenues have gone down. The share of revenue have gone down for baseball, which is at 38%, which is the lowest of all sports. It's gone down also for basketball from 57 to 51 now. So the unions are taking a beating. I know I told you guys I've been working on a piece that I hope comes out for the Undefeated this week that talks about the decision that I think the union should make. And I think that the modern athletes and modern professional sports no longer have a use for a union. They should decertify and operate as an association. I think that's the only way that they put leverage back in their favor, because as you guys mentioned, it's not even smart for the guys who are making millions of dollars to sit out, because the NFL, let's say the NFL is $12 billion a in revenue. 1% of that revenue is $120 million. And you divide that amongst 1,800 players, that's $67,000. So you're going to sit out, maybe miss hundreds of thousands of dollars, and maybe get extra $67,000 per player the next year. It's just illogical and irrational. It's not that the players are weak. It's that the players are logical and rational and realize that sitting out won't accomplish anything.
How do they find an insurance company to underwrite that? You talk about we play a sport that has a 100% injury rate. So how are you going to guarantee contracts? And what if one or two of your best players have a career-ending injury? How do you pay that off? So that's something that we have to. It's easy for us to say that, but baseball, the injury isn't as high as.
Well,
it is
that's why this topic keeps coming up, because of the violent nature of our game. So everybody looks at football, it's like, oh man, you guys should be you of all the leagues, you guys should be the one that have guaranteed contracts because you guys truly put your bodies on the line. Unfortunately, it's a mathematics game where, because of the size of our league and the amount of players, you're just not going to be able to keep all those players in line to try to execute something like that, in my opinion.
I've always said, look at the owners. Now, how many owners have something outside of football where they make their money? They don't all say, oh, well, my team makes me all my money, so if we don't play, I don't make money.
It's a hobby for them.
It's a hobby.
They don't make their money.
So they can go out and do what they want to do, because you know what? I'm still got my business over here. I'm owning Walmart, or I'm Paul Allen. I got all of this going on. The players don't have that. All they have is football. And if you take football away from me, you take football, I can't feed my family. I can't do it. So I'm not trying to strike. I want to make money. I'll take whatever deal you put on the table. And until the guys want to change that mindset, you are never going to change the perception of how players are going to look at striking. I don't want to strike. I'm too young to do that.
Guys in the 80s struck for us, for better benefits. You talk about the guys that stepped out so we can have free agency. I understand that. But it's difficult to ask somebody to do that when financially they can't survive. How can you ask a first-year guy to come in and sacrifice that? Because they have to explain that to their family. We try to have a fun, but guys blew through that, and guys don't see it coming, man.
I'm talking about even a guy
who's
still
still
in college,
strike in the 80s. That's important to remember, but the gains that they got didn't come until they decertified from the union and became association, and then could use antitrust law to impact the owners.